So which kind of value does this colors argument want here? Well, if you hover over it, you see that it wants a list, and then we have these angle brackets and color between them. What does this mean? Well, for one, it means that it wants a list of values. Not just a single value, but multiple values. That is what a list is in Dart, a collection of multiple values. And that makes sense because we want to build a gradient here, so a transition from one color to another color, or between multiple colors potentially. And therefore it makes sense that it's not enough to provide a single color. So that's why we need to provide a list. Now these angle brackets which you see here in the type definition for this colors argument are some special Dart syntax which creates a so-called generic type. This is also something we'll see in greater detail throughout the course, but in the end, a generic type is simply a type that needs to work together with other types, but is flexible regarding which exact types can be provided. For example, list is a type built into Dart that's quite flexible. Depending on your use case, you can have lists of numbers, of strings, of other objects, whatever you need. And when defining the type for a list, it's simply the type between the angle brackets that defines which types of values may be in that list. And here we want a list full of color objects. That's what this type says. So therefore here we now can pass such a list of colors, and a list value is created in Dart by using square brackets, opening and closing. And between those square brackets, you can now add all your values. Now, for example, your strings. But of course, here we don't want strings, we want colors. So we can create them with the color function, or with color from argb, or with the colors object, which simply gives us some predefined colors to choose from. So for example, again, deep purple here. Though here I actually don't want that, instead I'll use the color picker again to select a nice dark purple, and you can of course choose any color of your choice. And then in this list we can add a comma to add a second value to that list, because in lists values must be comma separated. We can copy the first color as a second value in that list, and then pick a slightly different color, maybe more purplish, a little bit lighter, whatever you want. I'll pick this color and also add a comma after the closing square brackets. That's another place where you should add commas for proper code formatting. And if I now auto format this, that's a bit more readable, though it would also be nice to get rid of these blue squiggly lines. And here, if you hover over them and you scroll down from that color picker, you in the end see that it's about const again. And we want to add const at the highest possible place, which in this case is in front of box decoration. So in the end, these are all, again, objects that support being set to const, so that Dart can possibly cache, store these values, and reuse them if we would use them somewhere else in our code to take advantage of this memory usage optimization and potentially improve our application performance. And with all of that, we're using a bunch of objects in conjunction. And we learned about this special new list value type, which is a generic type that is able to work together with other value types, though here it's really a list of colors that's needed. And with all that, if you save that and make sure that these changes get applied, you see this gradient in the background. And of course, you can pick colors with a greater contrast to see this gradient a bit better, but here I have just that slight gradient, which is exactly what I want.